welcome to the Melissa Banks Show. I'm your host, Melissa Banks, and I'm so excited that you joined us today. This show is all about celebrating the journeys of authors, entrepreneurs, creatives, people who are boldly chasing their dreams, creating meaningful products and services, and inspiring others to do the same. Each episode will uncover the stories behind the successes, the lessons learned from challenges, and the advice that will spark action in your own life. My goal is simple. It's to remind you that your dreams are possible and to leave you feeling inspired and empowered. So let's get started with today's show. Our guest today is Omegia Keeys, who has an incredible story to share with us. Omegia is a writer, director, producer, and an amazing entrepreneur all around. Welcome to the show, Omegia.
Hi, Melissa. Thank you so much for having me. I am so excited.
I am thrilled to have this opportunity to speak to you. Like, I'm jumping up and down. This is so amazing. Your story, your journey is just so incredible. I love following it and seeing your successes and all the inspiration that you give us just by going to your page. You can get uplifted. So let's begin, Amiga, just talking about your journey and how you were able to just turn your dream into your reality.
Okay. Well, to turn my dream into reality is I had to recognize that it was even possible like to do so. I have always been a writer from being a young child, but it took until 2013 for an actual childhood friend of mine here in Atlanta. He was an actor, and because I had been writing books, he was like, "You should try writing scripts." And I was like, "Really? You think I can write scripts?" He was like, "Yeah, your books read like scripts. So I think you can do that." So I taught myself script writing. And then I said, "Well, you know what? If I'm gonna write scripts, that means I need to be in the film industry." So I decided to start pivoting towards the film industry as well, starting out as when stuff is for you, it aligns up, okay? My first day on set was the originals in 20 the end of 2013 going into 2014. It was that last going into the new year. They were a spinoff of the Vampire Diaries, so it was their first season. They needed when I showed up as one of the witches, vampire witches, as an extra, okay? I showed
Mhm.
up as an extra. I immediately got bumped up to being a stand-in. A stand-in is the person that fills in for the lead characters when they're not on set. So I got bumped up to a stand-in. As a stand-in, I got to see everything. I got to build relationships and broker relationships from there. But the point is, I got to see everything. And I worked on that show for 3 seasons. I worked on a lot of shows in between, but this was my favorite show to return to. The work was hard and everything, but I got to learn a lot there because I got to know the cameraman. There were times when the cameraman, I would ask questions of them because I see them all the time about how to run the camera, different departments. So I started teaching myself
Wow.
how to maneuver in the film industry and learn every single position, which is how I have my company now because I know how to play every single position up in my company, from the PA up to being, the producer, writer, director that I am. I Every move, if somebody doesn't show up, it okay, you don't show, but the show still goes on because I know how to pivot and slide in. I run one of my cameras on set. I typically run with 3 cameras, but I am one of the camera operators as well.
Wow. You know what? I don't want our audience to miss the key to everything you just said was God places everything you need along the way, but you have to recognize it. And you recognized it and you didn't wait. You kept moving and moving, and then you were in the right place. And that's the key. So often we don't move. So often we don't believe in ourselves enough to move. And then you're at a place where you didn't just learn that little bit. That's why you're able to be where you are now. You expanded that dream as well. That is amazing. And I didn't want anyone to miss that because I was jumping up and down when you were talking. That meant so much. Now, sometimes in our journey, and for me, there's certain parts of my journey that I consider defining moments. This is something that changed who I am. It's something that I will always hold dear. Do you have a moment that you would consider that turning point in your journey, one that shaped who you are today?
That shaped me as the person I am. I have so many defining moments. I think the person in high school that proved to me that I can actually be a writer was a teacher that I had, Miss Showalter. She created a whole um a program for girls that, like a book club. And she gave us all these black books to read and stuff. My mother, she owned a bookstore at the time. But reading books for your mom and being a reader that way is completely different than somebody designing a program almost around you, which I didn't know she was designing it around me at the time. But she had read one of my papers that I wrote, and I had all my big dreams on there of what I'm gonna do and be. It had nothing to do with filmmaking, but she saw the creative side of me. So she fostered me as a writer instead of shunning me, and that let me blossom to be the writer. So when I was in the military, I just wrote all the time anyway, as a way, it was an outlet for me. My defining moment there to become a published author was I had written, I had written a book, didn't plan on doing anything with it. It was on my desk at work in the military. One of my other sergeant friends snatched it off my desk one day and submitted it to a publisher.
Oh my goodness.
It was so funny because I was trying to figure out where my script was, where my stuff was. She went and printed it off, had her copies, and I kept hearing her over there giggling one day. And she was knee deep in the pages, just reading. And
Wow.
yeah, she loved it. So that was like my encouragement there. But my defining moment to become a director, I am always one of them people, tell me no, and I'm gonna be like, okay, watch me. So my defining moment as a filmmaker was I was filming the web series. It wasn't even going to be the web series at the time for Donors, which Donors has been an ongoing process. So I was looking for an actual director, and I was interviewing people back in 2015. I didn't want to be a director. I was like, I can stay behind the scenes and do, whatever. I just wanted to be the writer. Even though I had learned every aspect of the film industry, it was just really weird. I was like, I'm just gonna steal. I'm gonna be in the back. I'm good. And so I was interviewing people, and I'll never forget somebody that hadn't even had a short film had the nerve to ask me, well, what are your credentials? And I was thinking, I'm paying you. But this man said, and what are your credentials? I said, baby, I could show you better than I can tell you. I went home that night, wrote the web series overnight. The Donors was its backstory that does not, it at the time, it had nothing to do with the actual story that Donors is back then, because Donors has evolved back then. But I created this backstory of these brothers 10 years prior to when you see the books meet up overnight. And I filmed that as the freaking director. And I was like, I got this. I got this.
I love that. I love that.
I loved it. And I knew how to direct. I knew way more than most people that I run into about the film industry and about directing and about so much more, because I made sure that I learned everything. So that helped me. His having an attitude and being condescending pushed me to where I am today. I took that no and stood up on top of it.
And kept going.
And
I mean, that's a testament of taking those negative comments, those haters, those people that try to stop you, those people that make you feel lower than them, taking that as energy to push you to doing what you were supposed to do in the first place. That is awesome.
I always say it's
Thank
fuel
you
for
for
my
sharing.
rocket ship. Oh, you're welcome. It's fuel for my rocket ship, baby.
Oh, I love that. Fuel for your rocket ship. Oh my gosh. Okay, I gotta write that one down. Oh my gosh, I love that. I love that. Okay, so now on this show, I'd like to talk about some challenges, because oftentimes, Amiga, we as entrepreneurs, we show up and we speak with confidence and we make it look so easy. I was talking to another friend of mine and my mentor and coach, and I said, you do so much, and you make it look so easy to all of us that are looking. And but behind the scenes, I know it's some stuff happening. It's some challenges you have to overcome. So share with us a challenge that you had to overcome in order to keep going to get you where you are today.
Oh, with my very first feature film, I got into a very bad car accident. I got hit by a semi truck in the middle of filming. In the middle of filming, we were filming on the weekends. I got hit by a semi truck. Um, but I was determined, after a couple weeks, I was like, no, we're gonna get this finished. I set the team down and I talked to everybody and I was like, look, pay is gonna be a little bit delayed because I had to use some upfront money to take care of, my own medical expenses because everything that I do, I pay out of my pocket. So somebody saying, oh, you're using film money for this, it's my money. So I had to take some of my film money that was my money back to help me with some medical expenses at first. But I talked to the team. I was like, look, we can either wait until I'm all the way healed, or we can finish because we only had 4 more days left. A week, well, 2 weekends left. We had 2 weekends left to film. I was like, we can either put it off or we can move forward. And your pay, it will be delayed, but everybody is going to get something every week until it's paid off. So they agreed, but of course, some people agree and then they change their mind later on. I had one person, a white male, go on social media and try to blast me in the film group one day for not for taking too long to pay after they agreed to this. It was funny because everybody was getting a check weekly. Somebody was getting paid. But mind you, if a few weeks though had went by that everybody was getting paid together. So this was just the last portion of the payment. It's not that they weren't getting paid at all, but he tried to make it seem like he hadn't gotten paid at all and wrote this long, scathing, don't work with Black women. It was a whole hateful post. And see, I am a product of receipts. He had wrote this post and his final payment had already been mailed. But because I'm petty Betty as well, I'm a Cancer. So I'm petty Betty as well. So I didn't just show receipts of the check that had been mailed. I showed all the other ones where he had been paid because he said he hadn't been paid. And the fact that I had been in a car, accident, which, he agreed to and everybody else. And it was so funny because I posted that, but there were other people that had worked with me on different sets already because in the indie scene, I was helping other people, showing up for free, doing all types of stuff. I was working on the big stuff and I was working on the side stuff. Everybody started jumping in, defending me. So it was really wonderful to see. And it was some people didn't even know me, but they had ran into me, on set and just had a small conversation. They were saying, how nice I was, how I encouraged them to do, certain things. And I didn't even recall, because that's just me. But all of these people started jumping in and defending me. And it just felt, amazing. They're like, no, she's not like that. And they're like, dude, like she got in a car accident and you're mad, but she's paying you. And it's just crazy. Yeah, but the time frame, it was still less than 6 months by the time I paid the very, very final person on the set from that. But yeah, it was like, we could have not did it. He had the opportunity to say no,
Right.
But it is what it is.
But
And what's so funny is,
you're good.
yeah, and a lot of independent films, they don't even pay at all. So that's the crazy part. Like he got more upfront already than any other project that he had already worked on, but then went to drag me through the mud.
Yeah, but it didn't turn out so well for him. So that's amazing journey. You have these ups. Your desire, your belief in yourself is amazing, and I just absolutely love it. Let me pause right here and just reset. If you're just joining us, this is the Melissa Banks Show. Our guest today is Omegia Keeys. She's a writer, director, producer, and she's sharing her incredible journey with us. Amika, I'm just listening to your journey as we go to different parts of it, and it's so inspiring. You can see your strength, you can see your belief in yourself, and you can see that you don't just in that situation you just shared. People saw you act. You're not just words. Your action shows who you are, and that's why they stood up for you. So your work is amazing. You know your work is amazing. So talk to us about how
Well,
you're hoping your work will impact the lives of others.
I hope it'll impact the lives of others by them being able to see themselves reflected within my films and knowing that there is a space for all types of filmmakers. Specifically, let's talk about donors. Donors, it's fantasy, it's vampires, it's a completely different story than than anyone has ever told. It's about class system within this system, and it's something that it can relate. I'm talking about social justice in here in different ways. And so I just hope that people can see themselves, number one, that if I did it, they can do it. You know, that, and just see these different stories to show that, you know, just follow your heart, follow your dreams, follow that. That's the message I want to put across.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Sometimes, Amiga, though, we have this dream. We know that we want to do it. We can feel it in our stomach. When you're thinking about it, your stomach is rolling. You can't sleep at night. If you wake up, you're thinking about it. You're talking about your dream to everybody who will listen, and you're following people who are doing it, but you're hesitant to start. You just can't start. What advice would you give someone who is just hesitant to start making moves toward their dream?
Mm, I can't relate, but all I can say is get started. Because I've never, if there's something I want to do, I just go do it. I have never been afraid. Like I'm more afraid of not doing something than to do it. Um, it is about the process for me more so than anything. I'm more afraid of looking back on my life and seeing that you didn't do it. You had opportunities and you just didn't take them, or you were too busy waiting for that perfect time. There is no perfect time. There is no perfect time. Just do, if it's something you want to do, start small, but start building towards that. I drove Uber, Lyft, all sorts of things to help fund my films at the very beginning. Like, you do what it takes to get there. Nobody is going to hand you nothing. I have had opportunities for investors in the past, but when I looked at them with a critical lens, it would have taken away from everything that I am. So stop waiting on folks so you can do it your way. It's your stuff. Quit expecting somebody else to fund your dreams.
And that's it. You heard her, folks. Just do it. Don't wait for it to be perfect. Don't wait for everything to be lined up. Don't figure out everything out. It's just doing it. I love what you said, though. Is I'm more afraid of not doing it than doing it. And that is powerful. Thank you for that. So when things get tough though, what do? When it seems overwhelming, you push through the accident. I'm sure there's other things that have been building, or maybe it's just busy. You got short timelines, people are not showing up, you got things going on. What do you do during those times? It's just tough. How do you stay motivated and focused on your goals?
Because I know what my plan is, and everybody knows what the plan is. So one monkey don't stop no show. Like I've had actresses not show up, or they are acting funky or something, and the running joke on my film sets is, okay, you don't show, she's gonna do your part. I will pivot, and it, I will put on whatever you need to wear and get into character if that's what I got to do, to do it. And I have done it. You probably don't notice it, but I have jumped in several times on my sets and have done stuff, whether I'm going to stand in, whether I'm going to be your body double, where I'm going to do all types of stuff to make it happen. I don't care, because I know that everybody don't have to care about my dreams. I do. I don't sit there and dwell in, oh, this person couldn't do da, da, da. I don't sit in that. I'm a solution driven. I figure it out and we keep it moving. Like it's not a, oh, this person is. And then here's the thing too. Everybody also knows that if you don't do it, I'll do it. If my sound person don't show up, okay, I got it. Camera don't show up, I got it. The PA don't. It's not that. It's like but no big deal. You're not stopping
Mhm.
anything that I'm doing because I have, number one, I have planned for it. I have planned and prepared for it. Even with the edits, I do that too. You're not stopping me because this is my dream, my baby, whatever. Look, I lost my job, my six-figure job on Friday. I do not care. I told them thank you. They were in my way. I was
Oh
only
my
holding
goodness.
on to it just because they wanted me to cry, boo-hoo, slide down the wall. And I sat there and I said, thank you. And I get off my phone because I got work to do.
You know what? That is huge. And everything you said leads me back to one thing. It's not taking no for an answer. It is your dream. You keep moving and you be willing to make those changes that you need to. This has been such an incredible conversation. I could talk to you all day because your energy is jumping through the screen. I can just feel it. I don't know how I'm gonna come down after this interview and get some work done. Oh my goodness. This has been such an amazing conversation. Do you have any final words for our audience that's listening to you right now?
Yes, if you have a dream, figure out a way to put it into action. There are so many tools out there that when I first started that didn't exist. Google is your friend. Research everything that you can. It's at your fingertips. Use Chat GPT. You don't know what to look up on Google. Ask Chat GPT. It will give you a list of things that you need to do. And if it's too high up, ask it to break it down for somebody that is just getting started, who doesn't have backing, who doesn't have this. Figure out where you can make it work for you. Start small. You don't have to start with, oh, I have 10 actors. Start with one. And if you need to, you'll be the actor.
Love it, love it, love it. Thank you again for being here. So, what's next for you? What can we look forward to? And how can our audience stay connected and support you in all that you do?
Well, what's next for me is marketing donors. Donors, 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 donors. That's the even reason that I was at that 9 to 5, so we could fund donors. So that is that is the biggest thing for me. That's what's next. That's what's now. The concentration is on donors, getting the views, getting the streams. You can watch it now on Prime. It'll be moving to other streamers later, but right now on Prime. So you can follow me at Donors Series A, or like about studios, because I do have my producing partner that I love. So together combined, we are like a boss studios. I'm about face media, she's tell all, but combined is like a boss studios.
Love it, love it, love it. I'm so excited we were able to have this conversation today. I know that every single person that hears this conversation will be inspired and empowered to go for their dreams and create the life that they love. Thank you
I hope
again for
so.
being here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
And thank you to our audience for joining us for this edition of the Melissa Banks Show. I hope today's conversation with Omegia Keeys reminded you that your dreams are within reach, no matter where you're starting. I'm your host, Melissa Banks, saying, remember, your journey is unique, your dreams are valid, and you have the power to design the life you love. Keep believing, keep growing, and keep shining. Until next time.